In this lesson, we'll be talking about the angle of elevation and depression. So, this is trigonometry in 3 dimensions. Suppose we are given, first of all, we must know what is an angle of elevation and what is an angle of depression. So when we say elevate, we mean we're looking up. To elevate is to go up, and a depression, down. When a person is depressed, it means that they are down emotionally. So let's take an example. Suppose we are given a triangle which is like this. Let's just say a Z shape, or no, let me just use a triangle. And the lines are extended like this. Suppose here it's A, 1, 2, 3. Here it's B, and here it's C, 1 and 2. So now we want to know what are the two angles of elevations in this case. So an angle of elevation, it's when you are looking up at an object. In short, we can say that an angle of elevation is the angle between the line of sight and the ground surface. So in this case, we can take our BC as our ground surface. It's clear, right? So BC is our ground surface, and the line of sight is the hypotenuse. And the angle between the line of sight and the ground surface is known as the angle of elevation. So we can take it as if like the angle of elevation from point B looking at point A is equal to this one. The one that is here is equal to angle ABC. It's the angle here. So the angle of elevation from point B to A is ABC. I hope it is clear. So I said an angle of elevation is the angle between the ground surface and the line of sight. And the line of sight, I said, is the hypotenuse. Now let's use a different example. Now let's look at an angle of elevation from point C looking up to point A. So this is the ground surface, and this will be the line of sight. And the angle between the ground surface and the line of sight is known as the angle of elevation. So the angle here is known as the angle of elevation. So if they say to you, give the angle of elevation from point C to A, you will say that the angle of elevation is angle ACB. I hope it is clear. And one thing that we must know is that these two lines here are parallel. And we know that if lines are parallel, then we've got alternating angles. So now let's look now. We want to know what angle is equal to the one which is shown here in blue. Well, obviously it's this one. When they say angles are alternating, it means they are in a Z shape. So it means that these two angles, this one and this one, are the same. And because we said that the one which is down here is the angle of elevation, the angle that it is equal to it is known as the angle of depression. So we said that the angle C1 is equal to A3. So because C1 is the angle of elevation, because C1 is equal to the angle of elevation, and we are saying that the angle of elevation is equal to the angle of depression, therefore it means that A3 is equal to the angle of depression. So next time if they say to you, find the angle of depression, first of all, find the angle of elevation. And then at the end, we know that the angle of elevation and the angle of depression are the same. Similarly, the ones which are shown in red here. We said that here we had an eye here. The eye is also going to be here. It's clear. So, because we said that A, B, C BC is equal to the angle of elevation. This means that which angle is alternating to it, the NZ shape, that is A1. It means that angle A1 is equal to the angle of depression. So depression is when you are looking down, and you can see that this eye here is looking down and this eye here is looking up. So to elevate is when we are looking up at an object. So if a fly or a bird is standing on top of a roof and you are looking at it from the ground surface, it's an angle of elevation because you are lifting your eyes up to look at that object. But if the bird is on top and is looking at you while you are down, it's an angle of depression. Why? Because it's heading its eyes down to look at something that is below it. I hope it is clear. So make sure you understand the difference between an angle of elevation as well as an angle of depression. Thank you for watching.